my digital channel Biotechnologist. Today we are going to summarize our previous 4 to 5 lectures, Building Blocks and Structure, in which we are going to study atoms, ions, subatomic particles, and everything we have studied in our previous lecture. And let's start. इस लेक्चर को गौर से सुने क्योंकि 8-10 मिनट का लेक्चर है। इसमें आप हमारे प्रीवियस 5 से 6 लेक्चर को समराइज कर सकते हैं। अगर इसको आप गौर से सुने तो इट विल बी इजी फॉर यू एंड देयर विल बी नो प्रॉब्लम फॉर यू। बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक्स एंड स्ट्रक्चर। First of all, we will study atoms and ions, subatomic particles. All matter essential to life is made up of atoms consisting of protons, neutrons, and electrons. The electron is a stable particle belonging to a class of subatomic particles known as fermions. The electron is elementary and without internal structure. Table 1.1 gives a list of elementary particles according to the standard model of the particle physics. Protons and neutrons are composite particles made out of combinations of 3 up, जिसको हम U से डिनोट करते हैं, down D quarks. The proton is UUD while the neutron is DDU. The 4 other quarks, strange S, charm C, top D, and bottom B, do not form stable particles and therefore do not participate in the physics of the living state. Next है जी सबएटॉमिक पार्टिकल्स। पहला सबएटॉमिक पार्टिकल हमारे पास है फोटोन, जिसको हम ये गैमा से डिनोट करते हैं, गैमा टाइप ये सिंबल से। Another particle essential to life is the photon, that is the massless member of the boson class of the particle. ये आप नीचे टेबल में भी देख सकते हैं। Without the photon, energy could not travel from the sun to the earth and warm our planet. Plants absorb photons to produce adenosine triphosphate ATP and to IX carbon that is consumed by more complex organisms on the food chain such as humans. Next is antiparticle and antimatter. What is their difference between antiparticles and antimatter? In Paul Dirac's theory of relativistic quantum mechanics, antiparticles were predicted that were later discovered in cloud chamber experiments. It turns out that for every particle species in nature, there is a corresponding antiparticle. Also, antimatter is quite scarce, at least on Earth. Antimatter plays a key role in the strong nuclear force through the exchange of mesons. These mesons are anti-quark pair exchange between nucleons binding the nucleus together. Antimatter is therefore essential for the existence of stable atoms and hence life. PET, positron emission tomography. Antimatter is also employed in medical imaging using positron emission tomography, where the positron E positive is the positively charged antiparticle of the electron. Positron emission tomography में हम radioactive protons को यूज करते हैं, जिससे हम डिफरेंट डिजीज को हम प्रेडिक्ट करते हैं इंसान की बॉडी में। ये एक मशीन के थ्रू किया जाता है जिसके अंदर इंसान को उसके अंदर लेके जाया जाता है। तो डिफरेंट रेज की मदद से, पॉजिट्रॉन की मदद से हम टोमोग्राफी करते हैं, जिससे हमें मेडिकल इमेजिंग से हमें पता चलता है कि कौन सी पार्टिकल किस मिकदार में कहाँ पर है। So this is positron emission tomography. My previous lecture was also on positron emission tomography. You can watch on my channel. Subatomic particles. Gamma rays are detected in PET scans that are produced by the annihilation of the matter and antimatter according to the reaction E plus and plus E negative into 2 gamma or photon. Subatomic particles, neutrino, gluon, these are all the subatomic particles. What is neutrino? The neutrino or The neutrino or little neutral one predicted by Wolfgang Pauli is a participant of the beta decay and other nuclear reactions. Roughly 10 solar neutrinos pass through our bodies each second. Neutrinos are weakly interacting, so this rate does not change during the night as neutrinos pass straight through the Earth, only very occasionally interacting with the matter. Without neutrinos, nuclear reactions essential to the star would not take place. The little neutral one is therefore essential for life in this regard. Gluon is a key participant in the strong nuclear force binding quarks in nucleon and meson. Other particles of the Standard Model may not contribute directly to the physics of the living state, but may be a neutral consequence of the universe capable of sustaining life. Subatomic particles में हम पढ़ेंगे highly energetic subatomic particles in cosmic rays can also influence life processes by breaking molecular bond and causing genetic mutation. Fortunately, the Earth's atmosphere serves to greatly attenuate the flux of cosmic rays. The ozone layer is especially important in absorbing harmful solar ultraviolet radiation. Astronauts in space habitats are more vulnerable to solar protons that can cause health problems if received in excessive doses. Solar and coronal mass ejections can generate lethal dose of radiation damaging eyes and vital organs. High energy particles can also provide life-saving therapy by targeting cancerous tumor. Proton therapy is a recently developed technique that employs particles accelerates to target tumors with protons beams of specific energy. Roughly 97% of the living matter is Earth, made up of the carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen atom. These are the constituent of life. The remaining 3% consist of mostly sulfur, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, and chlorine, with 0.02% of the trace elements such as ferrous, iron, copper, and CO cobalt. The elements highlighted in the periodic table 1.2 have been found to contribute to life on Earth. The noble gases in the last column are not capable of forming chemical bonds and therefore cannot form complex molecules necessary for life. Elements in the second row, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and fluorine form strong bonds and can participate in chemical reaction. Notably, C and Si are capable of forming 4 bonds. However, Si silicon bond is relatively weak, so that only C forms polymer chain, useful for terrestrial biology. Atomic constituent of life. आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं कि जो ions हैं, neutral atoms have equal number of protons and electrons. Positive ions or cations have fewer electrons than protons. Negative ions or anions have a larger number of electrons compared with the protons. Living system assimilate certain elements and expel other elements to establish concentration gradient and perform vital functions. Ions are essential for terrestrial life processes. Their transport establishes membrane potentials and allow for the propagation of action potential in nerve cells. Living cells rely on the transport of ions such as H in the form of ATP. The most important ion in the biology functions are hydrogen H, sodium Na, potassium K, chlorine Cl, and calcium Cl. Less important for the biological function are the isotopic differences between atoms and various numbers of the neutrons. However, various isotopes are important in nuclear medicine. Also, the isotopes carbon-14 enables the radiological dating of biological material. Molecules essential for the life. Only I am now अभी मैं सिर्फ आपको इनके नाम ही बता दूंगा और एक दफ़ा मैं स्लाइड्स को ओवरव्यू कर दूंगा क्योंकि ये हम इससे पहले वाले लेक्चर में वी हैव डिस्कस्ड इन आवर प्रीवियस लेक्चर एक हमने बिल्कुल ही एसेंशियल मॉलिक्यूल एसेंशियल फॉर लाइफ के लेक्चर्स को हमने पर एक लेक्चर दिया है, आप हमारे चैनल बायोटेक्नोलॉजिस्ट पर उसको देख सकते हैं. So molecules essential for life includes water, protein, globular proteins and their function, structural proteins and their function, lipids, saturated fats and unsaturated fats. Here is the difference between the saturated and unsaturated fats. Contains a single saturated fat contain a single bond, unsaturated fat contain at least one double bond. And you can read, pause the screen and read all of them. Molecules essential for life, lipid digestion and absorption, carbohydrates, polysaccharide, disaccharide, monosaccharide, digestion and absorptions of carbohydrate, and cholesterol, nucleic acids. What is life? Requirements of life, domains of life, characteristics of living cells, and in characteristics of the living cells, metabolism, absorbs nutrients and use chemical bond energy to carry the life processes, reproduction by cell division, and organization, sense, environment, stimuli, membrane branches. So this is all about the building blocks and the structures of the organisms, like atoms, ions, particles, photon, neutron, everything we have discussed in this slide. And this slide was also previously detailed and summarized today. In detail, this was discussed earlier in our previous lectures. You can watch on my channel, and this was only a summary of our previous lecture. So अपना और अपने इस चैनल का ख्याल रखिए, सब्सक्राइब के बटन को दबाइए और नेक्स्ट वीडियो का इंतजार कीजिए. थैंक यू सो मच.